Today we have Nyasha Matonhodze, a Zimbabwean fashion model based in Britain. Basically, she lives there, and I'm excited to have her on the show because I was thinking about the fashion industry and what's happening with a lot of big name brands now coming out of Africa. So I was just thinking who is involved in that industry who I could have as a guest and maybe to at least inspire um, some of, I would say, a lot of young girls who want to be involved in the fashion modeling industry. So I'm excited. I have Nyasha as our guest. I'm just waiting for her to send a request so that she can join us, and then we can uh, start the interview. Otherwise, I hope everybody is great, and I hope you had a lovely week. Um, okay, there we go.
Hello, hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good. I've been really excited about this.
Thank you very much for giving us your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. No, thank you for having me.
Um, I'm happy to have you to maybe pretty much inspire a lot of young girls, especially in Africa. They
Yeah,
inspire to be part of the fashion industry,
yeah,
and a lot of them they don't really have a lot of people maybe they can really look up to and they relate to.
yeah,
So when I thought of you, I was like, okay, Zimbabwean, born in Zimbabwe, and yes, you moved to UK, but you're somebody I felt a lot of young girls relate to, and also just looking at the amount of work which you have done, I was like, who else to better talk to? Because that's one of the things a lot of these young girls will be trying to even get to, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I am happy to have you as a guest here. If anything, if you can just start maybe by introducing yourself and when you started to be in the fashion modeling industry.
Yeah. Thank you for giving me this platform. I've been wanting to do like more and more things that are like Zim based because it's taken me a long time to like come into my voice. So I'm really happy that you've given me this opportunity because I've always wanted to talk to like anyone in Zimbabwe that wants to do modeling or fashion and just like motivate them to do it. But I was too young, didn't really have much confidence, was kind of scared of critics and you know, all of that stuff. You're like, you just don't want people to criticize you because I don't know, I just always would see like little you comment on the negative, so I would run away a little bit. But I started modeling when I was, and this is probably why I think will give you insight on why I've been a bit quiet and haven't contributed too much. I started
Okay.
modeling when I was 15, so I was
Hmm.
really young, and it was quite scary, but I think easy because when you move from Zimbabwe to England, you have to adapt. So then
Uh-huh.
I then moved to like New York when I was 15 and I had to adapt. So it didn't feel like that bad, but I was really young. Like in hindsight, I'm 25 now. I was really young. I was basically acting like a grown up, you know, working. I'm 50, like finding my way around a whole nother city away from my family, didn't complain. And you know, it's just Zim culture. Like my parents work very hard. They moved from Zimbabwe to come here to England to make like life easy for me. And they did, and they didn't complain. They never complained about being away and being homesick. They didn't complain about how difficult it was. They just got on with it. So that was me. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be
Okay.
get on with it. But I think I feel like it's really important that I speak to Zimbabweans specifically about that journey because we don't complain and we don't necessarily know how to navigate in this world because it was really new to me. And I really, Tessavango was like Miss Zimbabwe in 1994 and that's like beauty pageant. So she gave me some like beauty tips.
So you actually, because when I grew up, 94, I
Yeah,
know Angelina Msasiwa,
yeah,
and I'm like, okay, this is one person a lot of us relate to because I think she came third or fourth run-up in Miss World, right?
Yeah.
So it's something I relate to from way back, where if I'm thinking of fashion models, I relate to her. But then I don't know where she is. I think maybe in Nigeria or something. The last time I read, she's settled in Nigeria. I'm not
I
sure.
Beauty pageant and fashion modeling are like two different things.
Right.
So like I respect and understand how much pressure that is as well, but I feel like they're more pushed towards philanthropic work, and it's less about like runways and doing fashion week. So even though Tete like tried to explain it to me and be like, you need to focus on your how you look, and let you, I remember her sitting me down teaching me how to like paint my nails.
Okay.
But then when you go to like fashion week and things like that, they already have makeup artists. They already have people like that. You just have to like look presentable for your castings, which don't require makeup. You have to come in there as natural as possible. But I think the most important thing that I want to tell anybody that's interested in modeling and fashion and design, a lot of it is winging it. Like a lot of people don't know what they're doing. They're figuring it out as they go. As much as you're coming from a different place and moving and migrating and trying to navigate, everybody else is trying to do that, and it is a matter of who you know. So it really is. It's like that nepotism. It's like who you know. So your friend group. I know that when we were young, Mum would be like, "Birds of a feather flock together." And I feel like
Exactly.
that's really important in these spaces because you're self-employed, there's no real structure, you're your own boss, basically. So if you're going to take the risk to jump into the fashion world, you really have to push yourself because you find yourself working for free sometimes, you find yourself not being paid a lot of money, really hustling to get in, and it's all about meeting the right people. So that's pretty much what happened with my career. I met the right people. I didn't know I was meeting the right people, but
You that's amazing you point that out because a lot of people don't even know what they're chasing for. Right now, you just explained that there's pageant and then there's fashion runaway. Like, if you can explain the different types of fashion models and maybe their requirements, so that at least if somebody's watching, they want to pursue it, they can understand. I just know maybe a few like commercial modeling and maybe I think the catalog one
yeah, yeah.
and yeah, I know a few and maybe the swimwear. Yeah,
Yeah, there's such a variety of types of models. There's plus size as well. There's lingerie models. There's fashion
yeah.
models, and like you said, commercial. Those all have different requirements. I'm a fashion model, and that does go into commercial as well. So it does get a bit complicated. But the main requirements for fashion model is above 5'9" and a size 6 to 8. If you want to succeed in the runway space, that's when if you want to do high fashion, you have to be a size 6. If you want to do runway jobs,
Okay.
size 6 to 4, which I don't know what it is in US. I think that's like a 0. Yeah, I think that's like a size 0. And people are pushing that to change a little bit to diversify, but it's still for runway, it doesn't really change much. Whereas and then they don't really require you to do like, I know with pageants they like want you to join charities, raise money. You're challenged more academically because you have to like figure out ways of helping the people, the country you come from. Like the closest I have to pageantry is Flaviana Matata, who's like from Tanzania, and
Yeah.
she does like a lot of. She has a foundation. Whereas with fashion models, your real job is to be amazing at the runway and be great at taking pictures. If you decide to do charity, it's not
Mm.
compulsory. People are not judging you based on like you don't stand in front of a bunch of judges. It's kind of like that, but more for
Yes.
a
Maybe the
specific
judging
brand.
happens before you go on
Yeah.
the runway.
Yeah, so you stand in front of people, but they're the designers, or they're the photographer, or they're the stylist. Like, it's not people that are picking whether you're the most beautiful in the room. Like, that's the difference, because they're picking whether you're the best fit for their job. If your look is what they need for what they're trying to advertise and commercialize. So the requirements for I went on a tangent. The requirements for a fashion model: 5'9", 0 to, I'll say, a size 2 US and a size 6 UK.
W- Before you go ahead, why is that though? Is there a reason why it has to be that size? You are in the industry, maybe you would know
I
better.
honestly can't say for sure, but I think it's that because they have to make a lot of products in bulk, because Fashion Week is very busy. It's like a lot of designers trying to get their clothes seen. So they make those sample sizes and they want them to fit. And if you just make it in one size, it's easy for everyone to do it
Okay.
easily. But once you change the measurements, once you change the shape, you have to really take more time into shaping. That's just my assumption. I have no idea because I feel like you
No,
can.
it's a pretty great assumption. At least it enlightens to people why it's like that because we never understood why we have to see a certain type of. We don't know. You are behind the scenes, so you
I
probably would know better.
I honestly, I think I'm with you. Like, I don't understand why the definition of beauty and what's like, this is what we want. I still to this day, I'm like, but there's like different shapes and they're changing it a little bit. That's something I've always challenged and sort of, because I've had issues in that realm where I'm like, I put on a bit of weight. Now I can't do shows because I don't fit the clothes, but I love runway and I don't want to have to not do it. But that's just the requirement of the job. Whereas commercial, you can be curvier. There, you're more flexible. You could be a size 8 to 10 because it depends. In the US, they're like 8 to 10. In Europe, it's 8. They don't have much of a shift here because Europe is very editorial. And what that means is like a lot of high fashion magazines. So
Okay.
you find yourself doing commercials for a lot of magazines, and but the US is more, I feel like there's so many more brands. All the brands are based there. Louis Vuitton's based there. All the big makeup brands are based there, and commercial follows is under that window. So commercial is like anything that's the girls you see in the TV commercial, or the girls
Okay.
you see in the billboards or in the shops. So when you walk past, you see someone at a bus stop. That's commercial. You don't need to be. But whereas runway is like very specific because it's a small window to get things to showcase clothing. So I think those are the differences. And lingerie, obviously, it's like I'm most models are flat chested. Um, they don't really have much curves. It's quite a square look and tall. Whereas lingerie, they want curvy girls. They want girls that have a shape because they're trying to sell underwear. But I feel like all of that goes, you can do all of it. Like the Victoria's Secret models, for instance, they're
Yeah.
all high fashion models as well and commercial models.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It really depends on your agency. That's the thing that's really important. You're going to find people that put you under a certain window and say this is what you're good at, but you also have to be like, I'm set your goals and say this is what I'm. It's almost like if you're wanting to do high fashion, study, figure out exactly what it is you need to get there. If you meet an agency and have a meeting and they say no, you're commercial and you really want to do high fashion, then you need to like find an agency that's going to be. And there are agencies like there are different people that have different visions. What agencies do is help you make the most money that you can and be exposed to the most amount of clients if they're good. If they don't believe in you, you end up just being one of the girls that they leave behind. So it's very important that the biggest thing I say to models, whether you're moving from Zimbabwe, whether you're moving from South Africa, get the right agency and find an agency that's close to your local. Because I live in England, I found an agency that was close to that was London. London then gave me agencies around the world. So don't worry about not being in the right. Literally, if you live in the village and you can get an agency in Zimbabwe, in Harare, they can find you agencies outside and connect you to other if they're a good agency. That's the
So
most.
you now just hope that they are really good at their work and they can
But you have
connect
to,
you to.
yeah, you have to do your research. I had to spend a lot of time writing down. Like the internet is really good because we now are able to like research I literally just googled top agencies in London, not really knowing what that meant, but you know, America's Next Top Model had that. It had that. They literally had that contest on TV, and I was like, they're fighting to get a contract with Elite. I didn't
Yeah.
know Elite was in America. I just knew Elite was like international. So I was like, okay, I want to contract with Elite. And I got really lucky because Elite has a contract with that they have agencies in Barcelona, Milan, Paris, all these different
Hey,
places.
you basically have worked for a lot of big name brands, Louis V, Michael Kors, all these. Which big name brand haven't you worked for? You would love to work for?
Chanel.
Chanel.
They
Okay.
never picked me. I'm like, I would like pick me.
Um, and
Yeah.
why is that though? Why is that? Why do you?
It's a horrible story, and I'm going to be completely honest about it. I feel like I always get in trouble when I tell this story, but when I was modeling in 20, I think that was 2011, my first show, they weren't picking black girls at the time. They were like, we're not, they literally said, we're not doing black girls this season. And
Wow.
yeah, so I think for the longest time, I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to, because even when they did showcase the black girl, she was either very like dark toned,
Yeah.
or she was like very light skinned, and there was nothing in between. And you know, black is very like we range from like super Sudanese dark to um mixed, you know, light skinned. So I didn't like that. So anything that came that was Chanel, it was like bittersweet. I never said no, but I'm so glad I didn't get it because my heart was so like, they literally had like told my agent, we're not doing black girls this season, it's only white girls. And I was like, but now they have black people and black advisors. So I'm like,
So you're talking about the industry is opening up to more diverse faces, right?
yes, yeah.
But talk to me about how that affected you because you talk about your confidence, your insecurities, and that
Yeah.
you literally was just a teenager and now you're being put in that transitioning. First, you have the transition of coming from Zimbabwe to UK
Hmm.
and you're into a new environment, and then you have the transition to start modeling. Talk to us about your insecurities and how you dealt with, because a lot of young girls at that age, they're vulnerable, they insecure a lot, and what would you say they how they should, at least.
I honestly am very protective of young girls that go into the industry because you are vulnerable and you are exposed. And there is like the extreme of it can turn into sex trafficking because you find yourself like castings can be at a photographer's home. So it's the agency's job to sort of protect you. But if you don't have people that are really looking out for you, you can end up in horrible. And the thing's called promote, like they're promoters, and you've promoted before. But what they'll do is you get attractive girls to come into the club and but they don't care about your age. What was happening is they were taking girls that were 14, 15 because we look grown and they weren't. So now you're in this party lifestyle. Like there's so many risks. But my biggest thing, because I came out of church, I had a boyfriend at the time. I wasn't really interested in going out. So I never had issues. I had no interest in going to the club. All I had interest in was becoming the best model I possibly can.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think because my dad really opposed to it and my mum was super supportive, but I wanted to prove to them that I could do it. So I was in that mindset. But what that did was it meant that I was saying yes to things that I shouldn't tolerate. There was a lot of racism. There was a lot of things that were said to my face that shouldn't be said to somebody because our job is very much about your 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 body.
Hmm.
People can say like, oh, her nose is too big, or her lips are too big, or her skin is too light, dark, whatever, or her hair is too difficult for them to manage. These were things that were said to my face. And as a 15, 16 year old that's building herself and trying to find her confidence and her identity, I couldn't handle that. I was like, okay, there's something wrong with me then. I'm not pretty enough. My nose is too big. I started listening to that negative, allowing it to affect me. And it was something I look at in hindsight, but at the time I just was like, just keep going, it's okay, it's fine. But it kept on happening. I kept on being told, you're too dark. You're not light enough. Your hair needs to, you see how I'm wearing a weave? Now there's girls on the runway that have short hair and afros, and I'm loving it. But
Yeah.
back then, you needed to look like Naomi Campbell, and they instantly, not that you needed to, but if you were my skin tone, they'll be like, you're the next Naomi Campbell. So now you feel like you're boxed into this.
That look.
Yeah, and you sort of act up to it, because I'm also British, Zimbabwean. So
Yeah.
they're thinking, oh, she sounds like her too. She carries herself like Naomi. She needs to be more like Naomi. I remember being criticized and being told I was too nice, that I said thank you a lot, that I shouldn't say thank you a lot. I should be more of a diva and be more, go after it. They wanted me to be what they knew black to be. And now I see it, but when I was younger, it really affected me. I didn't know how to like handle it or process it, because with all that came a great deal of success and a great deal of acceptance. So whilst you're hearing all of this criticism, you're also getting lots of people accepting you, but they're only accepting you. A lot of it was like, we really like you, or it was, we need a black person that quiets the noise, because if you don't have one black person, at least in our show,
People, yeah.
so I was the token black girl. I was the girl that people would use to stop the rumors. And they did like me. They were kind to me, but I wasn't blind to it. I could see what it was, and it came with a great deal of success. But what pushed me was like, even if it is me, I'm now showing somebody else that they can do it too. Like whoever black girl sees me, they're gonna know that they can do it too. And it started. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Like, go ahead, because I'm wondering, how does that make you cope? Because you, on the
I
outside world, we are
I was
looking and
very,
we're cheering. We're like, oh,
yeah,
we
I
have
was
this,
very,
and
I could
then
do it.
you, yeah, how
Yeah,
does
I
that?
couldn't do it. I could not do it. I actually left the industry for 2 years. That's how bad it got. And my family didn't understand. No one understood why I would walk away from such an opportunity. But I've got my friend Gabia in there. Hi, Gabia. A lot of people didn't understand why I would walk away, because I was like at the height of my career. Like you're saying, I did like Michael Kors, Louis Vuitton, all of these amazing things. But when I walked away when everything was coming towards me, and I didn't have the strength to handle it, because my confidence and my self-esteem was that low, that I was just like, I just want to go home. Not only am I isolated in a place that I don't know, with people I don't know that don't really care about me, but I'm also finding that I don't know who's sincere and who isn't. I keep being
Wow.
told that I'm not good enough, but then on the same hand, I'm being chosen, but there's no one else around that looks like me, so I don't really understand. There was literally 5 girls that I can, at the time when I was modeling, that were the rotational black girls, and we were very close actually. Because when you see black people, you're like, okay, let's
Yeah.
be friends. Like, let's talk about it. And you could see how it affected us. We were just quiet about it, but it did affect us. It made us angry, but you can't say anything, because you're at the same time grateful to be in that space. You're happy to be able to have this opportunity, but you're also being told that your look is not something that we deem to be beautiful in the winter time. Because I remember in the winter, they wouldn't choose black girls. In the summer, black girls were like, that you'd see so many models.
What?
Yeah. Like
Wow.
black was on trend in the summer, because it would be like that warm tone. It was like a
Yeah.
trend thing. And I could not. My self-esteem was so depleted and so gone, but within 2 years. I think I was in it for 2 years consistently, non-stop. Didn't take a holiday, didn't do anything. I was just in it. And I can definitely tell you, it really affected. And I started to put on weight as well. So I started struggling with my own self-image in that sense, because jobs start slowing down. Like they'll tell me stuff like, oh, you're beautiful, your face is beautiful, but you just need to lose a little bit on the hips, just a little bit on the hips. And I'm like 16, 17, I'm like, why can't I just model? I just want to model.
So now if I have my nieces, they want to be into modeling.
Yeah.
What am I gonna give? What's the advice I'm gonna give them? Because this is unpacking a lot of stuff. Because we just thought you were just modeling. You were just you. You didn't have to change who you like to that extreme where it affects your inner core, your inside. You know what I
But
mean?
some people, honestly, I think if you equip your family members and sort of give them that, this is why it's important, because it goes both ways. You've got someone like Jordan, who is a British black model who consistently has continued to flourish. It hasn't affected her in any kind of way. She's probably had her struggles. I can't speak for her, but she's managed to sustain it and be well. But I think the trick is to just have a foundation or group of people that give you mentorship and guidance, and know that this is not an easy thing, that money might be good, but it doesn't make you happy. And it's important that you take care of yourself and you speak up, because I didn't speak up about anything. I just said yes to everything, because you don't want to lose. This is an opportunity. People tell you this is an opportunity of a lifetime. It's like winning a lotto. Like, how many people in my family do I know? None. How many Zimbabweans do I know that have done what I've done? Zero. So I'm being told this is
The best thing ever.
this is the best thing ever. But I'm not happy. I don't feel good. But I'm still in it now. So I'm not going to say it's bad. It's not all bad. You just have to be
So
honest.
which is good, where you're saying you need a team, the right team, and you need mentorship. And I believe you're planning something for the young Zimbabwean girls. What are you working on?
I really want to do a workshop. So I know that the pandemic was happening, but in August I was coming to Zimbabwe and I was going to do a workshop where I scout talent. Mum said, so my mum always would sit down with ideas, and I was like, should I just do it for fashion models? Because this is what I'm good at. But she was like, no, there's Zimbabwean talents, there's comedians, there's musicians, there's so many people that are super talented, and you can give them that platform. So that's really where my passion lies, is making sure that Zimbabwean talents get that opportunity that I got. Because all it took for me was just like my mum being like, you can do it, let's go to London, let's go.
That's also amazing that your mom actually was the key to you going in that direction, and you embraced it well. But you hardly find an African mom taking a daughter to do modeling. That's like unheard of. Like, so I was so like, you know what? Shout out to your mom. Your mom deserves, like, for just saying, you know what, my daughter looks like this. Maybe she has a shot in modeling. Let me try a chance. And
Yeah,
you also embraced it. I feel like that was really good, and it lacks a lot with a lot of African parents,
that's what
especially
we
when it
should do.
comes to that industry, entertainment, fashion. They don't look at it like that,
They
you
don't
know?
see it as a source of income. So my dad's fear was I would so I left school early, and he was right about it. What I'd say is don't leave school early. You can do modeling in your 20s. Like, you can finish high school, you can finish college, and then start to model. Because what that does is you have this sense of like, if anything goes badly, I have this to fall back on. But if you completely sacrifice everything, this is just my experience. But if you do it well, you never have to. You never have to find a backup plan. You'll be set for life. And also, my dad was so protective that he thought, I don't want you being exposed to anything horrible out there in the world, because models don't have like are sexualized. Where when we think models, especially in Zim, it's like page 3 girls or Playboy. There was
Yeah,
never like you can actually keep your clothes on, be on billboards, have
yeah.
ads. There wasn't anything like that back home unless you were a pageant girl. And even as a pageant girl, it was like, oh, you have to wear bikinis. And my dad was like, no. And I respect him for that. But I think that there is somewhat of a need for support for that creativity. Like, a lot of our upbringing is academic. It's like, be a lawyer, be a doctor.
I know
Unless
that
you
one
are,
very well.
yeah,
Yeah,
and your
you know.
parents don't get it until you start making money, until you start living
Oh
well.
yeah, they start asking when is that show, You know, like now then they know that something is happening.
Yeah, and I think that's where it lacks, because also that financial literacy. So because we only know money management in these fields, when then you find someone in creativity and you're self-employed and you're trying to find your way financially, is you lose it all because you're young and you come across a lot of money when you're in the creative space and you succeed at it. And what happens is you find friends, you spend it, you do stupid things, and there's no real guidance. So my real goal, not just to help people in the creative space, but to give them the right information so that when they make that money, they're able to actually invest it in themselves and continue to build their wealth. Because I spent it all. My mum did her best, and honestly, she put money.
What do you mean you spend it all?
I spent it all.
Tell me you bought something. Tell me you bought like a house or something.
My mum put money into a house. So this is how financially illiterate I was. My mum would ask me to send her money, a lot of money, and I was like, okay. I never asked why. I never asked for where. I just did. Because I came to a lot of money at really young. I was making ridiculous amounts of money at a really young age. I lost everything. When I say I lost everything, the only thing I have are assets because of my mother. She bought land in Zimbabwe. Thank God. I don't want anyone to come for me. I'm not rich.
Okay, that's fine.
My mum was the one. But for me, food,
Yeah.
vacation. I don't have Gucci bag. I don't even have Prada bag. I don't have any of it, right? And I wish I did, because now I'm like, at least I'd have bags. I would just spend it all on other people. I'd spend it on friends that I didn't know, that didn't really care about me.
I like.
My mom's like, tell them you have a house in England.
No, I'm happy that your mom at least was some sort
She's
of
such a
guidance to your
pillar.
journey.
Yeah, she's such a pillar. She's the one that said invest in a house in England, and I was so grateful for. I'm so grateful for that, because honestly, I don't sleep. I lost what I said. I spent it all. I spent everything, to the point where I woke up one day and I was like, what am I going to do with myself? I went from like earning hundreds of thousands to literally waking up living in my mum's house and not knowing when my next paycheck was going to happen, because that's what happens when you're self-employed. You work based on commission. So
Wow.
the jobs you get, so you really need to have people around you. The people I had around me just wanted to spend time with me because I had money and spend my money. Those are the
And
people I had around me.
you know what you're saying is very important, and that's why I was happy to have you on the show, because people, when they're just seeing the outside, they always are so happy with what they're seeing on Instagram. But these stories, it's not, even you haven't posted about this, but I'm so happy you're opening up and you're talking about it. The struggles of self-employment, even I understand them. When you're starting something and people think you have money and you're going through struggles to even build something, I understand all those things. So I can imagine how you felt. Now you have no money. You have this situation where your self-esteem is being attacked. I can imagine how you were mentally, emotionally, physically. I can imagine.
It was hard. There was a lot of tears, and it's only taken me now to get honesty. That's why I've come back and I said I could only do it if I speak and be honest about what my journey is, because I have made it look so good that so many girls are coming in and wanting to do what I do, and I can't. I'm so protective. Any black girl that you see, I have their numbers. I'm like, listen, let me tell you, sis, if you're open to it,
Okay.
because it it does. We suffer in silence. I was having a conversation with I'd say she's my mentor now, but she talked about help. Like, my mum is in mental health. Those are the things that are very important in terms of success. We take it for granted, but where we come from, mental health is not a thing. It's not about, it's all about survival and making a lot of money. And that's what I've learned. My mum taught me to do that very well, and I do it very well. But what she didn't teach me to do, or she couldn't teach me to do, I suppose, because she's tough. She's very
She's
tough.
also didn't know that lane, which I
And my dad,
understand.
like, we just don't grow up in that. So what I'm trying to do is to to have people that are African, not just Zimbabweans. This is very is African wherever you come from. You come across that people that are so grateful in our fashion industry, and people really prey on that vulnerability where you're so grateful to be there that they take advantage of
They take advantage of
you
you.
working for free,
No.
you not speaking up about you working from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, because you're taught to work. That's what hard work pays off. Yes, it does, but to a degree. And if you don't know, then I want. If I had somebody, if Naomi Campbell sat me down and told me these things, I would be rich, rich. But so that's
So
what I'm
you,
trying to do for other people. I'm trying to stop them because I did make a lot of mistakes. Like you said, I went through such darkness because I didn't talk about what was going on, because I didn't. And my mom's a very wonderful mom. I could have told her, I could have sat her down and said it, but I was just like, I need to be tough like her. I need to be strong. I can't tell her that I'm struggling. And I didn't have the words. I didn't even know what it was. I just knew that I wasn't happy, because you look at your life, you go, I'm making a lot of money. I'm living in New York, and people talk about this as the dream world. But all I want to do is go home. So what's wrong with me? Because if I'm successful and people want to be like me, then what is actually wrong with what's going on? Like you start to believe that there's nothing wrong with you, because, or you're crazy, or it makes no sense that you're unhappy because you can take care of your family and you're living the dream. But the dream looks like this. The dream looks like I'm making a lot of money. I'm traveling around the world. I don't see the places I travel in. This is what modeling is. You go to the hotel, you go to the plane, you go to the studio. You don't see where you're traveling to. So
but
I
you
want
post, I was in Paris, I was in Milan, you post that.
you post it and people see that and they think you're living your best life. But a lot of
Yeah.
it, you're tired, you're traveling. I remember I traveled a lot, and when people say traveling, I didn't see a plane until I was 8. So the first time I got on a plane was when I was 8 years old. So that remembrance of, like, there are people that will never ever be able to get on a plane that I know, relatives of mine that don't even know how, if there's a road in the sky. So why am I complaining about getting to go to these cities even though I don't get to see it? So there's so much of that goes on in your head that you start to be like, I am grateful for everything that I got, but it comes with great sacrifice. I miss weddings. I miss birthdays. I didn't have a teenage life. I didn't have friends. I was just working. And that was the issue.
So do you think that do you think maybe Africa, as it is rising, the designers are getting way better? It's insane. Do you think if we have environment where we have our own agencies and our own shows at that level, it would help also, even with the young black child not feeling like they have to so much look a certain way, would just be at least.
We're creating opportunity. We're basically saying to them, dream big, because it can happen for you, and we're going to help you do it. It's one thing to say to someone, oh, you should work very hard, but it's another thing to show them how they should do it. Because a lot of us, as we're growing up, have had to figure it out. We don't we're told we need to be successful, but we're not given step-by-step guidance as to how to get there. So there's a lot of pressure on young black females, on young black males, Zimbabwean alike, because you don't know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. It happened by accident, and I found myself in this position where I was like, what do I do? What am I doing?
so so
So
talking about.
I think we should create. Honestly, I would love to find somebody, because I haven't been to Zim since 2000, and me and Mum went in 2014, and the whole family was supposed to come back this year, and we're still going. I'm still going to do it, but because I don't have a lot of connections back home, I'm trying to build a network of people that can help me do this, because I feel like giving people something to work toward, and not just giving them something to work toward, but giving them the tools, is the most important thing for Zimbabwe. Because we want our kids to be doctors, lawyers, and all of this, but a lot of people don't have the finances. We want our kids to be on TV, and there's a kid that wants to be an actor, actress. You don't have the finances for it, but you don't tell them how. Even if you don't have the finances, there's always a way to go about it. But you only see that in America, or you only see that in London. You don't see that within the African community.
I'm glad that you walked through this journey, because now you turn around to think of how do I help the next, and which is one thing a lot of people, especially black people, struggle to do. Some say we don't help each other a lot. Some say we are jealous of each other. We try to step on each other, but I believe we're doing well, especially the young generation. I believe we are getting to a stage where we open up. I talk to a person, whether in Rwanda, Nigeria, or everywhere, and we share ideas. We talk about how do you think Africa is going to be in the next 10 years, five, like it's happening, and it's good. We have people like you who have reached these stages, which an ordinary young African who's thinking, I want to get to this stage, they think that's the best thing which can ever happen. They'll realize that when you talk like this, that it might not be the best thing ever. And maybe these environments which they are in, they can actually bring out something better and bigger. Because most people are always thinking of going outside to the outside world, and because that's been what has been portrayed as is the best. And I think I'm happy to have labels like Makosa. I don't know if you know it. Like these
I
are
Yeah.
superb labels where I think they're doing really good. Because as an African, I'm always thinking, if I make it, why should I buy Louis, Gucci all the time? I should also have name brands in Africa where I say, this name brand in Africa, if you've made it, you buy this name brand.
I love that. I love, because we literally had the conversation at home. We've come from a place of we ourselves have not supported one another. It's one thing to have the social, the system not supporting black people. It's another thing for us to actually look down on ourselves. Like me and my uncle were literally having this conversation yesterday. And he was basically talking about how him having a Zimbabwean shop, the relatives and everybody around him won't necessarily will want to pay and support his business, but they'll go somewhere else and then say that he's stingy for wanting you to pay for the product, and that we actually trust white businesses more than we trust black business. There was always a stigma when I was growing up that black people didn't do business well, and all the black people that I've met are the reason why have helped me get to where I am. They've helped me build confidence. They've helped me PR, you name it. So it happens, but it only happens when we move to the diaspora. Because now we're in a place where there's only a few of us, and we silently support each other. But if we're in Zimbabwe, a majority of us are there. If all these people that come from the diaspora, and this is really what I want to say, you live in the diaspora, you've made it, take your knowledge, take your information back home, and throw away that idea that if you take it back home, there's too much greed, there's too many people there is that, but where in the world is there no greed? Where in the world is there no bad people? Just go and try it, because I know that there is exploitation when people are working on survival, because we're very blessed to be able to not think about money as much, but back
Exactly.
home the economy is not the same. And as
Yes.
long as you know that, you can really create an environment where you help people the right way. It's not that people are bad, it's that people are hungry. It's that people don't have opportunity. So when they find it, they want to maximize what they have. So forgive people for trying to get as much they can out of you, because that's all they know to do. And focus on how you can give them what they need in a way that's long term and sustainable. Because I keep hearing that conversation where it's like, yeah, they're not trustworthy, they'll exploit black market. Yes, it's there, but we all come from that. If you don't know how you're gonna feed your family, yeah, you're gonna rob a bank. I should.
So right now, I remember you were way back. You were saying I'm an introvert. Are you
Mhm.
still, or you've
I am.
changed? Because
I
you need in this industry which you are in, you can't be an introvert in a way.
yeah. I actually somebody put it down to me like it's not that I am an introvert because I think I'm more scared of being in social. I've been so scared of being in social events because there's this thing about looking silly or not doing the right thing. I find I get very anxious when people are watching me, and it's really hard to walk into a room and people are not like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," and I'm like, "Oh my god," and I
Yeah.
start to panic, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to say something dumb." So I don't think I think what I called introversy was me just being scared of people judging me and me not reaching people's expectations because that's the amount of pressure I put on myself. I am introverted because my idea of a good time is watching TV and being in my tracksuit.
Own space.
Yeah, but I think I do enjoy people's space now that I feel I'm in a space where if I tell you something and you don't respond with polite, I'm no longer affected. It doesn't affect me anymore. It's taken a long time to like that. That's the whole confidence thing. Like if I say something and it doesn't necessarily make any sense to people, I'm not offended if they don't get it. But I used to find that was really difficult for me. I always felt like I was like imposter. Like I would walk in a room and I'd be like, oh, I'm not like these people. I didn't find a place where I fit in. And that's why I didn't like
Wow.
being around people. I just kind of hid from people because you literally are like, everyone's watching you. Everybody wants to know what you've got to say. And I never got that because I was like, I'm only young.
Mm.
All I do is take pictures. Like, why do you care? But
So, so
now I understand why it's important. Is because I'm somebody that has made an impact for the people that are watching and come from where I come from. And those are the people I'm more passionate to talk to, not people necessarily that just are like, oh, you're a model and that's cool. It's people that have this drive and this
mhm.
ambition to go out of their comfort zone and chase their dream, because those are the people that really spark and have given me energy and got me to this place. Because those conversations like this where we're talking about it and being like, you know what, this is what we need to do about Zimbabwe, this is what we need to do for our people. There's no wrong or right thing. We're all just having conversation, and I've been very educated because I had zero information about the Zimbabwean economy. None. I didn't know how to help. I didn't think I could help. I was like, what am I gonna do? Um,
No, by just doing what you're doing, it's one of the biggest thing. Just going and sharing information. Information, you know what it is. Information is big.
mhm.
And I was actually thinking as you were talking, what is it that you had to change about yourself, which you just to fit in, which you look back and you'll be like, I wish I would have not wasted my time on this.
I think I didn't even show any of myself. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't change anything, but I didn't show anything. I just stayed kind of like, I just allowed people to portray what they wanted to portray, and I never corrected them, and I never said, oh no, this is not. And you're 15, 16, so you have to remember, like, you don't really know who you are at that point. You're also trying to figure out who am I and what am I doing. I think you do that dance your whole life, but that there is a time where you have a voice and you have an opinion. And at that time, I didn't have an opinion. I didn't really know what was, I was in New York. I was like, I don't really understand this lifestyle. I don't really know what's going on. So I think for me, the biggest change has been the biggest thing that I wish I did back then would be speak up and say what's bothering me and say what I don't like and stand with. I've always stuck to my morals and my values quietly,
Hmm.
but
Okay.
never stood up for it. There are certain things like I'm good at taking criticism. I'm not good at watching someone black getting criticism or someone I'm not good at that. So sometimes I'd sit there and I'd go home and be like, I'm so angry, I'm so
Mm.
upset. And I'm like, that's what you should have said to that person. Because they wouldn't have liked you, but you would
Yeah.
feel better about it. So now I'm
Yeah.
a bit like, if you say something that bothers me, I'll let you know that it's bothered me. I'm not going to shout. I'm just going to let you know, because communication is the most important thing. And that's the biggest freedom, actually, that you mentioned. Like, I'm aware that actually me sharing my experience helps people. And that's a concept that with low confidence and low self-esteem, you're unaware of. You're unaware of that power and that thing that you have, because you're so used to people not really in modeling. They just appreciate how you look. People appreciate how you look, and you just tell yourself, I'm here because of how I look, because you kind of are.
Yeah.
But to people from Zimbabwe, it's bigger than that. It's, you are someone that came out of Zimbabwe and made it, and you're a representation of hope.
Africa.
Yeah, and you look like me, and you look like me. So that's the difference now. I'm aware of that. I'm aware that I need to speak up about what's going on.
I'm happy about your journey. I'm happy where you are, and I'm happy that you truly understood where you want to be, who you are, and what your intentions should be, and you are now zooming into that and saying, "This is what I'm going to do." Um, what are the misconceptions of fashion models which people have, and we just have the wrong misconceptions?
It's that,
Besides, you guys don't eat a lot.
yes, yeah, that one. And that one's true for some. That one's true for some. Me, I can eat a lot, but I have to train a lot. There's also that we live a very luxurious life. When you start modeling, you're literally sharing like a house, a really small flat with like 6 or 7 girls in bunk beds. But they see you, like, when I was doing Louis Vuitton, I didn't have like this big old flat to myself. I didn't. I was
Yeah.
actually paying off the debt that I'd accumulated over Fashion Week, and then paying for my travels, because none of that is free. So that's another misconception. You really have to be aware of how you're charged as a model, because they pay for your travels. If you're going to a new city, you pay, not they pay, you pay. It comes out of your pocket like a loan, and then you pay
Wow.
it out of the commission that you make. If you earn money soon enough, then your loan is not as big, your debt is not as big. But if you take, it takes you a year, let's say, imagine how much you've accumulated. So when you finally get paid, you find that you still don't have any money, and you have to wait for more jobs to come in, because all of that is always going on. So that's another misconception that I need people to understand. Just because
Man.
you're on a billboard does not mean you're rich right away.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
takes time. And then some fun ones is like models. Why are you mad? You're pretty. Like, people don't if you're like, why are you insecure? Like, you're really attractive and you're a model. Like, why are you insecure? That was so funny, because I'm like, models are the most insecure. Like, you're literally judged on how you look, and
Yeah.
people, like, your job is basically people saying no and yes to you because of how you look. They're saying no and yes to you because of small details, your hair, your eyebrows, whatever, you name it. So we're the most insecure because we're constantly working on how we look. It's very, very hard as a young female to not become self-obsessed and insecure when everybody's commenting on how you look. So when people see models and they're like, surely they're not insecure, because how can they be insecure? They're so attractive and they're so beautiful. Most insecure. Like, I literally
Wow.
will look in the mirror and I'll be like, oh my God, my hips are so, I know I'm slim. I know, but I'm so used to people telling me your bum is big, your hip. My bum's not big. My bum is just Zimbabwean. Like, I'm Zimbabwean.
Maybe
So
now it's British. I don't know if it's still Zimbabwe.
Listen, you can take me out of Zimbabwe, but you can't take Zimbabwe out of me. Like, I moved when I was like, I'm Zimbabwean. Like, mum, dad,
Right, right, right. So
My
what's
household is Zimbabwean. And
what's
that's another thing as well, because you move from Zim and you
yeah?
come to England, and people think all of a sudden that you don't how big sadza how chande
What's your favorite dish?
yeah so munuchi
Manuchi.
yeah,
Okay, okay,
that's my favorite,
cool.
or nopi.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's from pumpkin. The pumpkin porridge. That's Nopi.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
What's your favorite place you have traveled to? Even though maybe you might have not
Paris.
seen a lot. Is that for fashion or for vacation?
That is, I actually started to extend my stay. So if I have a job now and it's in a different city, I'll extend it and see the city. So I've actually seen a lot of Paris.
So you just pick Paris as the best city overall,
Yeah,
whether
I've
it's
actually
for.
done a vlog where I took my brother to, and we did like a whole day of me in Paris. So yeah, that's my favorite place.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. No, I'm happy. Thanks for giving us this time. I really appreciate it. And I'm basically going to message the people I know in those circles back home. At least we communicate and try to make you be in touch with those people. That way, at least when you get there, you have other people you're talking to.
I appreciate
Um,
that.
because what you're trying to do is very, very important. And I really am happy that you had to come on and talk about your journey. And it's important. Is there
Thank
anything else you want to say and where people can get you um, other on Instagram?
Yes, so my Instagram is Nyasha Matonhodze, Nyasha_Matonhodze. If you have any questions and you're someone that's interested in modeling, DM me. I'm always responsive. That's where I speak to people. My Facebook, not really, but if you really want to get in touch and you're someone that's passionate, or designers, Zimbabwean designers as well. If you know any designers that need promotions and things of that nature, get them to contact me. I would love to collaborate with the designer and do so maybe like a swimsuit or
Okay.
some form of clothing, because anything that I could do to give back would be great. So I think that's the main thing. Like if you are in the creative space and you need some assistance, some advice, contact me. I'm open. Just slide in the DMs, but not with foolishness though.
Thank you very much. I really
Okay.
appreciate this, and I'll make sure I'll play my part in spreading
I
your
really
work. Okay,
thank you.
because
Thank
you're really awesome. Okay, and I love what you've been doing.
I
All right,
appreciate that. God bless. Thank you very much.
take
Bye.
care. Hey, bye bye. Yeah, that was Nyasha Matonhodze, Zimbabwean British um, model. I'm happy she gave us this opportunity, and I just want to keep on encouraging people to spread the word about everything and what we're doing in regards to showcasing all these African individuals doing amazing work. See you next week.